Revenge films.
I'm Melba, married, 25 years old, and a full-time worker. Tony and I don't have any children yet, and we both work full-time to save up for the future. My in-laws' house is a half-hour drive away, and Tony's brother Ralph and his wife Nelly live nearby. My father-in-law passed last year, and my mother-in-law, Margaret, lives in the same house alone. We all live close, and we would drop by her frequently. My father-in-law left them an inheritance of about $200,000, but Tony and Ralph decided not to touch it so Margaret wouldn't worry about her senior years. Her son's consideration moved her. Margaret and I had been on good terms since our marriage, until something happened recently. It was late fall and getting chilly day by day. Some people have been coming down with the flu, so one day I decided to check up on her after work. When I entered the house, Nelly was also visiting. Nelly and Ralph have 3 children, and Nelly's a stay-at-home mom. Frankly, I didn't like her very much. I understand it's hard to raise 3 small children, but she would say something like, "I'm jealous. You don't have to take care of children and have lots of free time to yourself." Today, too, when she saw me, "Hi, what happened to you coming over this late? You can do anything on a whim if you don't have any children, right?" I didn't react to it particularly. Then she went on, "Did you change your hair? I would never have time to go to a salon with children, but you are living like a single person." "But Melba is working full-time." "Thank you, Margaret." But Nelly didn't like it and looked annoyed. "Oh, I have to pick them up at the swimming club. I gotta run." And left. And then Margaret said, "Melba, don't worry about her. Nelly is just stressed, and she didn't mean it." I just said, "It's okay." I didn't want to bother her with the thought, but when I got home and vented to Tony, he said,
"It's obvious that Nelly is jealous of you."
He said Nelly was the jealous type and didn't have many friends. "She's probably jealous of me, who wears makeup and dresses well for the office and makes money." That's what he said. I'm just a regular adult who does normal things. Why do I have to listen to her sarcasm all the time? 2 months later, we were going to spend the holiday at Margaret's, but I couldn't help the negative thoughts about meeting Nelly there. But that's not an excuse not to visit in-laws for the holiday. When we got there, Nelly and Ralph weren't there. Ralph couldn't take the holiday because of his work, and Nelly was back at her parents' house with the children. I was relieved for a moment, but then Margaret started crying. We were so surprised and said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "Melba, Nelly told me. How much do you owe?" I was surprised even more. "What? What are you talking about?" "I returned $3,000 to her, but why didn't you tell me? If you had debt before you got married, I wish you could have told me sooner." "I don't have any debt. What exactly did Nelly tell you?" And Margaret filled me in. When Nelly told Margaret about her going to her parents' house for the holiday, she mentioned, "Melba borrowed $3,000 from me." Surprised, Margaret asked her the reasons, and Nelly said, "She was having trouble with debt before she got married. I was listening to her story and ended up lending her." Believing what she told her, Margaret said, "I'll be taking care of it. Don't worry about it." And she ended up returning the money to Nelly. Both Tony and I were furious to hear all that. If that's the truth, Nelly deceived her mother-in-law and took her money. Tony and I talked about it and decided to confront Nelly a few days later. We spent the holidays there feeling unsettled. On the last day of our holidays, Tony called up Ralph and he said he'd be home that day. Nelly would be back later that afternoon, so we grabbed the opportunity to straighten things out. Ralph, not knowing anything, welcomed us warmly. It wasn't easy to bring up the subject, but Tony did what we came here for. Ralph couldn't hide the shock when he heard it all. He apologized to us and promised to return the money to Margaret. Then he confessed to us about the trouble he's been having with Nelly. He said that he's been encouraging Margaret to work even for a part-time to help with expenses, because Ralph's income was the only source to support a family of 5. But Nelly never agreed and just spent the money he earned carelessly. He also told us that Nelly would spend it all up if they were to get his dad's inheritance, which was another reason why he didn't accept it. Right in the middle of the conversation, Nelly and the children came home. Upset and angry, Ralph didn't wait for another minute and questioned Nelly. Nelly glared at me and Tony. I told her to keep quiet, and she already told you? She can't keep secrets. Now she's angry. She admitted what she did to us, but showed no remorse. I just wanted to have some good times for the holidays. What can you do? I know you got your inheritance from your father. It's your fault because you hid it from me. And Ralph said,
I told you I didn't take it.
But Nelly didn't believe his words, so Tony and I told her that we didn't take it either, and Nelly said, Are you serious? What kind of stupidity is that? You can still change your mind. Just ask her to give us a share.
I thought it was the best for everybody. I would rather have Mom keep the money than you spend it like nothing. What the hell do you think of my dad's hard-earned money anyway? I'm done with you. I'm filing for a divorce.
Nelly finally shut her mouth. She didn't seem to expect this. It turned out that Ralph had been contemplating the thought for some time now. Nelly was jealous of everybody and bad-mouthed them with no intention of helping or supporting the family. He had been fed up with her and already had divorce papers ready. Nelly saw the papers already signed and got upset. You must be kidding. Have you thought about the children?
What you've done is a fraud. It's a crime. How could I let a criminal raise my children?
And he told her that he would raise the children. Then Nelly said this, crying. Please don't do this. Without child support, I can't make a living. It was all about money for her up until the end. The three of us didn't know what to say to her anymore. Afterward, Ralph kicked Nelly out of the house and started living a new life as a family of 4, and Margaret suggested they live with her. She used the inheritance money to expand the house and welcomed Ralph and the 3 grandchildren. With Margaret's help, Ralph learned to manage his work and childcare. Margaret is happy to live with her grandchildren. About Nelly, Ralph saw her parents and told them about what led them to divorce. They were disappointed and told her not to come home. Nelly had already spent up most of their savings, and the division of assets didn't leave them much. She's been moving from motel to motel while looking for a job. Nelly's father returned the money to Margaret on Nelly's behalf, but demanded that Nelly return it to him. Since Nelly has been out of the job market for several years, she's having a hard time finding a job, which is not my concern, though. Tony and I visited the newly renovated large house and were convinced that it worked out best for Margaret.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.